got a little bit of Notre Dame basketball, some college basketball, of course, a recap of that amazing win by Clemson over Alabama, and a little IndyCar talk as well. We also just had Kent Sterling of the KentSterlingShow.com and Kent Sterling Show on CBS Sports Radio, 1430 AM. And also Derek Schultz, local 97.5 FM, iHeartRadio, and 1260 AM. Joined us and helped us break down this big game going on today. I don't know if you've heard about it out in Kansas City, the Colts and the Kansas City Cheifs. But now we bring on the true heroes of the team, and that's Ed Kratz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, writes for the Philadelphia Eagles with the Sports Exchange, www.footballmaven.io/Eagles, and Mo from the BS Sports Show. Guys, are we ready for some football? Ed, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. Great weekend coming up here for the NFL.
Heck yeah, and we're snowed in here in Indianapolis. We're going to have about 7 inches of snow. I mean, so what a better weekend to get snowed in. Mo from the BS Sports Show, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm driving through snow.
Imagine that. Everybody's driving through snow. Guys, I do want to get to these games, but I know both of you guys cover the prospective teams of last week, the Eagles and the Bears. I have to admit, I know I was rooting for the Eagles, but that was an exciting game. The doink finish, the memes started happening. I know we were all talking offline, but how exciting was that? We'll start with you, Ed. I know you got to be ecstatic. You're playing the Saints. We'll get to that game here in just a second. My God, what a win for the Philadelphia Eagles. You guys iced the kicker. And, you know, we're still having the conversation. Is Nick Foles going to be an Eagle next year or not? We don't know. But if he keeps going this track, people might start saying, hey, maybe Carson isn't. Maybe we need to give the keys to the kingdom to the Eagles. But, Ed, really, what are your thoughts about last week's win? And you got to be excited about headed.
Yeah, you know, I got to know Cody Parkey a bit when he was in Philadelphia. Starting his career here, and you know, he's just a terrific guy, very approachable guy, and you can talk to him about anything you wanted to. So on, you know, in that respect, I felt very badly for him having it come down and end the way it did. And you know, I really like Matt Nagy. I think he's a good guy too. So you know, there's that part of it too. That you know, I really have some compassion for those guys on that side of the field that lost. Bears had a great season, but you know, they just ran into that Foles magic, and you know, lost in the shuffle of that Parkey miss was. You know, that drive that Nick Foles took them on against the number one defense in the NFL. Nick Foles got the ball and went 60 yards with it. You know, made it look easy. He completed passes to 5 different receivers on that drive, and the Bears really know how to stop it. And then they got to the 4th and goal, and it was a great play from Nick Foles and Golden Tate to make that connection and give the Eagles the lead. And then their special teams looked like it wilted by giving up the big return to Tariq Cohen. But, you know, that's kind of what I'll take away. It's just the heroics of Nick Foles once again in a huge spot against the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. Took them right down the field with less than 5 minutes to play and got the job done. That's probably what I'll remember most, and then I'll just feel badly for Cody Parkey from here out. I hope he overcomes this. I know the fans were really rough with him when he left the field. But you know, look, that's the nature of the NFL. They're paying him a ton of money, so you can't feel too badly for him. But I having known him and talked to him at length at times years ago, I feel badly for him.
Yeah, but you also got to look at from the Bears aspect of it. This wasn't the first time he missed some important clutch kicks. From the BS Sports Show, Mo, I know you cover the Bears, so talk with us a little bit about fans' reaction, certainly about your reaction to the game. What were you guys talking about? What are your thoughts about this just crazy ice baby kick loss to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I mean, my first reaction watching the game live was, you know, the fact that they called timeout before the ball was snapped, and the fact that he went through and kicked the ball always seems to be a bad omen for kickers when they make it, and then it always seems like it winds up being a miss. I think what was missed by a lot of the fans who, you know, had harsh words for Cody Parkey was the fact that the Bears' number 1 defense didn't play like the number 1 defense throughout this football game. That last drive that I was talking about by Nick Foles was just uncalled for a number 1 defense to let up something like that. So granted, it did come down to Parkey and he missed the kick, but you know, I think some of the onus needs to fall on guys like Khalil Mack, who didn't really seem like they showed up for that football game. I will give Cody Parkey credit though, because the guy showed giant kahunas sitting there and letting the media fire away questions at him after the game. A lot of guys tend to try to hide after something like that, and Cody Parkey sat there and took the heat and answered every one of those guys' questions, and I thought that part of it was absolutely awesome, that the guy sat there and he took his lumps and answered every question. So kudos to him for doing that.
And also, what are your thoughts about, obviously, former Colts coach, obviously well-respected in the NFL, good guy, likes to chop wood, all that good stuff. But Chet Pagano gets the defensive coordinator position up at the Bears. Good move, bad move? What are your thoughts, Mo?
Well, I mean, if you look at Pagano's history before he became the Colts head coach, he was a pretty good defensive coordinator. So I think good move by the Bears. You're bringing in a guy that, every player on the Indianapolis Colts to a man will tell you that they respected. So I think that that's a good move by the Bears. It's a hard losing Vic Fangio when you have a defense that's played that well as a good unit other than the end of the game last week. But I think Chuck Pagano is a good call, and I think, having the players' respect is big when it comes to the NFL. So I think it's a good move by the Bears.
So to bring in our national audience, as far as what I meant by chopping wood and chucking wood, it seemed like he was full of cliches when he was here in Indianapolis. And whenever we had a presser, I went to local press. He was like, "Yeah, we're just going through. We're chopping wood, we're stacking wood, we're chucking wood." So there was a big joke between local media, and they did a sound bite, if you will, where it was just put to music. Oh, I'm chucking wood, chopping wood, chucking wood. So that was his favorite phrase. So that's where that came from. Ed Kratz, let's start with the games of the day. I know I'm going to play Homer here, and we played Homer in the last half hour with the local media in the Indianapolis Colts and the Kansas City Chiefs. But you know Andy Reid very well, and as you said here on the show, he's been here, done this before. Patrick Mahomes is there. Help us get to know our foe. Today's game, the Indianapolis Colts, go into a messy, cold day in Kansas City at Arrowhead, probably one of the loudest, most hostile stadiums to play in. And Andrew Luck is back, and they've got Patrick Mahomes. So help us understand the Kansas City Chiefs and what has to happen today.
Yeah, well, to me, Kansas City is one of the toughest places to go in and play a game. It's one of the loudest, most vociferous stadiums I've been in, and I've been in just about every NFL stadium across the league. And to me, that's one of the top three places to go in and win a game. Yet somehow the Chiefs have lost 6 straight playoff games at home. That said, so, there's that horrible history, kind of going against them today against the Colts as they're trying to end this 6-game home playoff losing streak they're on. And, the other side of that is Patrick Mahomes now. This is his first his first game as a rookie, first playoff game, I should say, as a rookie. He had a terrific regular season. Kudos, 50-plus touchdowns, over 5,000 yards passing. But now here we are. It's a whole different animal in the postseason. And, you have that pressure of being the number 1 seed, playing in front of your home crowd that you don't want to let down and disappoint. So we'll see how Mahomes can handle it. The Colts have done a great job with Danico Autry being able to get pressure on the quarterback with Darius Leonard on that defense. The thing I like about this Colts defense is just how hard they play for Frank Reich. I mean, they just really all rally to the ball on defense. They're young. Maybe they don't know any better yet, but, I love the way they play defense. And, we're going to see if they can somehow limit Mahomes and what he can do. And maybe the best way to do that is to fire up that run game. Marlon Mack had a terrific playoff opener, almost 150 yards, I think it was. And, he's really come on. That run game has really come on. And I think it's just a fascinating matchup, too, when you talk about the coaches. Frank Reich won a Super Bowl as the offensive coordinator here in Philadelphia. Andy Reid never did that in 14 years. He got the team to the big dance, but when it came time to, leave with Cinderella at midnight, he wasn't able to do it. So he's a guy that has to show that he can win the big game. And I think it's a fascinating match. I think it's a great way to kick off these 4 games is with that game in Kansas City at 4:30.
Absolutely. And, Mo, talk about the defense of the Indianapolis Colts, certainly led by Matt Eberflus. At the beginning of the season, I don't think, as I mentioned earlier on in the show, I don't think anybody even knew how to say his name. Now, everybody knows his name, and now the Colts are going to have to fight to keep him on staff. But one thing at a time, Matt Eberflus has did miraculous wonders with this defense. And one of the things the Colts have talked about, fans have talked about for so many years, is that we got to do something defensively. Well, they're doing something defensively. What are your thoughts, Matt Eberflus, as he gets ready to take on a very good Kansas City offensive team?
Well, I mean, I think that already makes the Colts a big winner for this offseason. The fact that Matt Eberflus is sticking along. The one thing that concerns me today for the defense for the Indianapolis Colts is there's obviously going to be a lot of attention on Travis Kelce, and it worries me that Tyreek Hill could get loose with our secondary, who's not the fastest secondary in the league by any means, but they're good players and good schemes that keep them around the ball. Tyreek Hill will be the fastest guy that I believe they've faced all year. So him getting loose with a lot of attention on Travis Kelce worries me. But other than that, no quarterback who's thrown for 50 touchdowns in the season has won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady lost after throwing 50, and so did Peyton Manning. And the Colts have had a pretty good record, at least Andrew Luck against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. What will be interesting today for me, and Ed touched on it there too, is as the weather deteriorates in Kansas City today, if the running game becomes the focus of that football game because of bad weather, I think the Colts do have an edge with Marlon Mack, when it comes to that and playing in the snow. Granted, Indy's an indoor team, but with that running game, I think they can control the clock with the running game. So if the weather continues to deteriorate in Kansas City, I think that can give the Indianapolis Colts an edge.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be snowed here in Indianapolis. I'm going to have some bourbon to keep me warm, and go Colts. We got to move on to all these other games. So we'll start with. We'll start. Are you with us, Ed? We'll start with you, Ed. The Dallas Cowboys go into L.A. They're going to have much better weather there in L.A. We're seeing the Cowboys, and I like it a lot what the Eagles and the Colts, just have had one battle after another. Obviously, they got shut out here in Indianapolis, and they've kind of struggled, but they're still alive. But the Rams, and if you remember earlier on in the year, I asked you, do we think the Rams are Super Bowl caliber people? You said, I said, we think so. But now we look at New Orleans as well. The Rams aren't playing the way they were, and the Cowboys are playing better. A lot of people like the Cowboys on the road against the Rams. I don't know that they're strong enough to beat the Rams. Talk with us a little bit about the X's and the O's between the Rams and the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, I talked about Kansas City being a tough place to play for visiting teams, and it's going to be the opposite in L.A. Dallas's training camp in the summer is not far away from the Coliseum in Oxnard, California. So that's going to be kind of like a home game for the Cowboys. They're going to have those Cowboy fans show up in droves into that stadium. And then you look at the way Jared Goff has played in December, extremely inconsistent. I think the loss of Cooper Kupp, their slot receiver, has really hurt them. Then you look at Todd Gurley, who hasn't played in a few weeks with this, as he's rested this knee or leg injury, whatever it is. And you wonder how healthy he'll be after this rest. So there's some factors there. And then on the other side of the ball with Dallas, this defense is extremely underrated. Maybe it's becoming more rated as we go along, but they've only given up the second fewest points in the NFL, and that's a real testament to that defense. You look at what the Rams did when they went to Chicago; they scored 10 points. So they're a team that can be shut down by a good offense with the inconsistencies of Goff. And the Dallas has that kind of defense that can do it. And like I said, I don't think this is as much a road game as it is for Dallas as it is so many of these other teams that are playing this weekend. So, I like the Cowboys' chances to get into the NFC Championship game. And I think they can do it with Ezekiel Elliott controlling the clock, with a defense that will frustrate Jared Goff, and with a home crowd really on their side in L.A. So I think this is a Cowboys win.
Well, and we'll see. And, I've certainly learned to like and love the Eagles through the years, through knowing you and following the Eagles. It would be great for them to get a win against the Saints. But what a matchup that would be for a Super Bowl trip between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Mo, as you look at the Rams and you look at the Cowboys, both playing significantly different than what they were at the beginning of the year, what are your thoughts about the Cowboys and the Rams, and really what has to happen on both sides of the ball?
Well, I mean, what the big key is to me is which team's not going to lay an egg. We saw the Rams do it last year in the first time in the playoffs in a while. Then we saw, Dallas actually get a win last week, but do it their last home playoff game a couple of years ago. Dallas has been a team that at times in big games in the Dak Prescott era has, come out and laid an egg. But I think Ed's right. This defense has been fun and extremely underrated so far this year. I think that the Dallas defense has got to get in there and get Jared Goff, on his heels.